Kaitahotra Dharma. So, Chandrapati Prabhu or Bindu Mataji, who is there? So, this was a suggestion given by devotees that recording is starting after, recording should start when the Mangala Charan is going on.
Mataji, I have a suggestion. Please train somebody else because I don't have time.
No problem. You should now train that to someone.
I am trying to train, but nobody is ready to. You suggest somebody and he has to take responsibility.
Yes. So who is that person who is going to take
I don't know.
Raise
you
your
only
hand.
Suggest and you only do, Mataji.
I will not suggest. Raise
I don't
hand.
have time, Mataji, to talk right now or argue. Thank you.
I am telling someone who can do it. Please raise the hand. Who can take this responsibility? Make wonderful. Vasandani Prabhu is ready to take the responsibility. Because recording is happening after some time and Chandrapati Prabhu is really very busy.
This is according to your suggestions only, according to whatever you have told me earlier, Mataji. So I don't have time right now to argue on this, Mataji. I am in totally traffic. I am in totally traffic and I can't shout right now.
Don't shout. Don't scream.
So please listen, Mataji. Please speak afterwards. Your class is going on.
I know that Vasandani Prabhu is ready to take the responsibility.
Immediately.
Vasandani Prabhu is ready to take the responsibility. I'm telling again and again. You don't have to become so arrogant. Why you have to be arrogantly talking? I know you are busy. That is why I asked a suggestion. Who is ready to take this responsibility? Vasandani Prabhu is telling, I am ready to take the responsibility. Somebody suggested yesterday, Mataji, little bit we are missing. Why don't you start it? So I have to take suggestions. If somebody is telling, I have to take suggestions. What is there in that? I don't mind also. If you don't record also, I don't mind. I don't want any my recorded classes. Devotees want the recorded classes. They are saying that some part, initial part, we are missing. That is why I suggested when the Mangalacharan or end of the Mangalacharan, you can start the recordings. So don't become so arrogant while speaking. Keep your composure. Just because some service you are doing, if you don't want to do, don't do. Better don't do any services. Just get rid of all the services. I don't mind if the classes are not recorded. Just because you're providing Zoom, I cannot tolerate any of the arrogant behavior of yours. Zoom link also, you don't have to provide. Let there be no Zoom link. No problem. But maintain composure. Maintain your composure because you're a senior devotee. Maintain your calmness. Somebody else will do. If I am not doing or you are not doing, somebody else will do. So just because my live is going on, it doesn't mean that you shout, you scream. I just gave a request. When I am maintaining my composure, you have to maintain. You are a student. You cannot shout at your teacher. This doesn't show the Guru Shishya Parampara at all. And if you don't accept me as a teacher, also not a problem. I don't want anybody to accept.
Mataji is not there. He left already.
But you tell him. You tell him this is not the behavior which will be expected from him. Next time you remove him from all the group, he will not be putting any Zoom link. It is you take the responsibility or Vasandani Prabhu takes the responsibility. Anybody takes the responsibility. No one takes the responsibility. No problem. Okay?
Okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, please unmute yourself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji will join. Just give few minutes.
Yeah, I joined. Once. Okay. So one of you read the verse. Dharma Projita. Who will read? We will try out. Gyan Prabhu, can you try out? Ram Krishna Prabhu, try out. Okay, Nikhil is trying out. Nikhil, try out.
Mataji, just 2 minutes, Mataji. Am I audible?
Yeah.
धर्म प्रोजित कैतवोत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदम् तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सत्योरुद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात्.
Very good. Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. Ram Krishna Prabhu, first line you read. Second line, who will read?
Mataji, word first line, no,
Canto.
Mataji?
Only just first line. Because every line here is very important.
Dharma projita kaidavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam.
Very good. Second line, Gajendra Sutta read.
वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवनं तापोत्रयोन्मूलनम्.
Very good. Third line, Daya Sagar Prabhu read.
Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parair Ishvaraha.
Fourth line, Vaishnav Gaur Prabhu, please read.
Mother Hare Krishna. Sadhyoridya avruddhatetra kritabhi shushruvistattakshanat
Vistakshanat.
shushruvistattakshanat.
Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam. Dharma. Which type of dharma to be given up? Kaitava dharma. Kaitava dharma means where you keep yourself in the center. Your senses, your gratifications in the center. Your desires in the center. That type of activity has to be given up. Paramaha. Paramaha refers to the highest. One has to take the highest truth. This is the highest truth. Highest. Dharma projita kaitavotra. Atra. Atra means this becomes this here. Atra means in this Bhagavatam. What is the highest truth? Give up kaitava dharma. Who can speak Bhagavatam? One who is free from matsaritaha. Nirmatsara. Nirmatsara. Matsara means enviousness. Nirmatsara means he is non-envious. Only that person, satam. Satam refers to devotee. One who is 100% pure in heart. He can speak Bhagavatam, Vedyam, Vastam, Astraha, Vastu, Shivadam. Vedyam. So this is the highest truth, Vedyam, to be understood. Vastavam. Vastavam is this is the factual truth. And it is Vastu. Bhagavatam, now the glorification of Bhagavatam is going on. In the first verse, the glorification of Lord is there. Glorification of Bhagavatam. This is the Vastu. Vastu means this is the only substance. Shivadam. Tapatrayon Moolanam. Shivadam. It is very auspicious. When you say well-being, here refers to very auspicious. Tapatrayaha. It removes all the miseries. How? Unmoolanam. Unmoolanam means uprooting. It uproots the miseries. It is not cutting off the misery. It uproots the miseries. Like you have weeds growing. Then you cannot cut the weeds. You have to uproot the weeds. So in the same way, Bhagavatam is the real substance. Bhagavatam is very pure. Bhagavatam uproots the miseries of a person. It is substance. It is the only thing which has to be understood. We try to understand so many things. This is the only thing which has to be understood. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute. Krute means written. Who has written this? Who has compiled? It is Mahamuni. That is Vedavyasa has compiled. Kim va parair Ishvaraha. What is there another? What is the need for any other thing? What is the need for any other thing? Bhagavatam speaks about Lord. Why you need any other thing for realizing Lord? You just serve Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya. You will realize Lord. And not only realize Lord, you can bind him. Sadhyaha, Urudhyaha, Avarudhyate. Avarudhyate means he becomes compact. That means you can bind him within your heart. How? Sadhyaha. At once. At once you can bind him within your heart. Krutibihi. Who, by whom? By the pious men who have developed the culture Shushrushubi Takshanat. Shushrushubi. Shushrushubi means who have developed the culture of hearing Bhagavatam. So, one who has the liking to hear the Bhagavatam, he can bind Krishna within the heart without any delay. Takshanat. Without any delay. Dharma. So, let us see from beginning. Bhagavatam speaks about giving up projita. Projita means giving up Kaitava Dharma. Bhagavatam, what it speaks about? Giving up Kaitava Dharma. It speaks about Lord Paramaha. And this can be spoken only by a person who is Nirmatsaraha, who is a devotee. It is a substance, Vastavam, Vastu. It is a substance. It is the only subject which has to be understood. Vedyam, Vastavam, Atraha, Vastu, Shivadam. Very pure. Tapatrayon Moolanam. So it removes, uproots the miseries. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kim va Parivishwaraha. Vyasadeva is given to us such a wonderful literature. Why we need anything else? Why any other marga for, or why any other path to realize Krishna? Bhagavatam is enough. Sadhyaha Rudhya Varudhyate Trapativihi Shushrushubhi Takshana. Without any delay, at once you can bind Krishna within the heart. That is why it is said, every day, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Two types of Bhagavata are there. Grantha Bhagavat, Bhakta Bhagavat. We have to serve both the Bhagavat. One who is interested in glorifying Krishna is Bhakta Bhagavat. Grantha Bhagavat is the literature which is glorifying Krishna. Okay. So one of you read the, Anupama read the whole thing. Two paragraphs you can read after the translation. 2 paragraphs you read. 2 paragraphs Adi Satviki Mataji read.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Translation and from purport 2 paragraphs, right, Mataji?
Yeah.
Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasa in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hear the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Purport. Religion includes 4 primary subjects, namely pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and finally liberation from material bondage. Irreligious life is a barbarous condition. Indeed, human life begins when religion begins. Eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating are the 4 principles of animal life. These are common both to animal and the human beings. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. Therefore, in human societies, there is some form of religion which aims at self-realization and which makes reference to man's eternal relationship with God. In the lower stages of human civilization, there is always competition to lord it over the material nature, or in other words, there is a continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. Driven by such consciousness, man turns to religion. He thus performs a pious activities or religious functions in order to gain something material. But if such material gains are obtainable in other ways, then so-called religion is neglected. This is the situation in modern civilization. Man is thriving economically, so at present he is not very interested in religion. Churches, mosques, or temples are now practically vacant. Men are more interested in factories, shops, and cinema than in religion places which were erected by their forefathers. This practically proves the religion is performed for some economic gain. Economic gain are needed for sense gratification. Often, when one is buckled in the pursuit of sense gratification, he takes to salvation and tries to become one with the Supreme Lord. Consequently, all these stages are simply different types of sense gratification. Hare Krishna.
Okay. From here, Adi Satviki Mataji, you read. So here very clearly it has been said, men are more interested in factories, shops, but they are not much interested in religiosity, or you can say in devotion. Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Punao. Am I audible? Thank you. In the Vedas, the above mentioned 4 activities are prescribed in the regulative way, so that there will not be any undue competition for sense gratification. But Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all these sense gratificatory activities. It is purely transcendental literature which can be understood only by the pure devotees of the Lord, who are transcendental to competitive sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animal and animal, man and man, community and community, nation and nation. But the devotees of the Lord rise above such competitions. They do not compete with the material because they are on the path back to Godhead, where life is eternal and blissful. Such transcendentalists are non-envious and pure in heart. In the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else, and therefore there is competition. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well-wishers to everyone, and they strive to establish a competition-less society with God in the center. The contemporary socialist conception of a competition-less society is artificial, because in the social state, there is competition for the post of dictator. From the point of view of the Vedas, or from the point of view of common human activities, sense gratification is the basis of material life. There are three paths mentioned in the Vedas. One involves fruitive activities to gain promotion to better planets. Another involves worshipping different demigods for promotion to the planets of the demigods. And another involves realizing the absolute truth and his impersonal feature and becoming one with him. The impersonal aspect of the absolute truth is not the highest. Above the impersonal feature is the Paramatma feature, and above this, this is the personal feature of the absolute truth of Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about the absolute truth in his personal feature. It is higher than impersonalists' literatures and higher than the Jnana-kanda division of the Vedas. It is even higher than the Karma-kanda division and even higher than the Upasana-kanda division, because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. In the Karma-kanda, there is competition to reach heavenly planets for better sense gratification, and there is similar competition in the Jnana-kanda and the Upasana-kanda. The Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to all of these because it aims at the supreme truth, which is the substance or the root of all categories. From Srimad Bhagavatam, one can come to know the substance as well as the categories. The substance is the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, and all emanates are relative forms of energy. Mataji, Danvatana.
So here different types in the Karma Kanda, there is always a competition. What is a competition? Who will reach the heavenly planet? Either by Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. In this way, lot of competition is there. But Bhagavatam speaks about Hari. Bhagavatam speaks about Krishna. Okay, from here, Hansrupi Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Nothing is apart from the substance, but at the same time, the energies are different from the substance. This conception is not contradictory. Srimad Bhagavatam explicitly promulgates the simultaneously one and one different philosophy of the Vedanta Sutra, which begins with the Jnana Sutra. This knowledge that the energy of the Lord is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord is an answer to the mental speculators. Attempt to establish the energy as the absolute. When this knowledge is factually understood, one sees the conception of monism and dualism to be imperfect. Development of this transcendental consciousness, grounded in the conception of simultaneously one and differently, one immediately to the stage of freedom from the threefold miseries. The threefold miseries are those those miseries which arise from the mind and body. Second, those miseries inflicted by other living beings. And third, those miseries arising from natural catastrophes over which one has no control. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the devotee unto the absolute person. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the absolute and at the same time in the eternal position of servant to the absolute. In the material conception, one falsely thinks himself the lord of all he surveys, and therefore he is always troubled by the threefold miseries of life. But as soon as one comes to know his real position as transcendental servant, he at once becomes free from all miseries. As long as the living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility for his becoming servant of the Supreme. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from the material encumbrances.
Yes, service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances. Okay, Ashok Aneja Prabhu, read from here. Aneja Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is a personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. It was written in the maturity of his spiritual life through the mercy of Narada. Sri Vyasadeva is the authorized incarnation of Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, there is no question as to his authority. He is the author of all other Vedic literatures, yet he recommends the study of Srimad Bhagavatam above all others. In other Puranas, there are different methods set forth by which one can worship the demigods. But in the Bhagavatam only, the Supreme Lord is mentioned. The Supreme Lord is the total body, and the demigods are the different parts of that body. Consequently, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, one does not need to worship the demigods. The Supreme Lord becomes fixed in the heart of the devotee immediately. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended the Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Purana and distinguishes it from all other Puranas. The proper method for receiving this transcendental message is to hear it submissively. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize this transcendental message. One particular word is used here for proper guidance. This word is sushrushu. One must be anxious to hear this transcendental message. The desire to sincerely hear is the first qualification. Could I continue, Mataji?
Yes.
Less fortunate persons are not at all interested in hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Unfortunate people find enough time to hear idle social and political conversations, but when invited to attend a meeting of devotees to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, they suddenly become reluctant. Sometimes professional readers of the Bhagavatam immediately plunge into the confidential topics of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, which they seemingly interpret as sex literature. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the beginning. Those who are fit to assimilate this work, as mentioned in this shloka, one becomes qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam after many pious deeds. The intelligent person with thoughtful discretion can be assured by the great sage Vyasadeva that he can realize the Supreme Personality directly by Srimad Bhagavatam. Without undergoing the different stages of realization set forth in the Vedas, one can be lifted immediately to the position of Paramhansa simply by agreeing to receive this message. Hare Krishna.
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं. Read after me also. निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. Okay, Vimala Mataji, read. निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं
निगमकल्पतरुगलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः.
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं. Nigama means from where everything starts. That is Vedic literatures. Nigama. You have this word Nigama in LIC. Nigama. They think that they are the beginning of everything. Actually, it's the Vedic literature which is the beginning of everything. Vedic literatures are known as Nigama. Nigama. Nigama, Kalpataru. So these Vedic literatures are compared to Kalpataru. Kalpataru refers to the wish desiring tree or wish fulfilling tree. Kalpataru, the desired tree. Galitam. Galitam refers to it is a fully matured fruit, so it falls. It falls. Galitam phalam. It has fallen from this tree. So Bhagavatam, again, description of Bhagavatam is given. How is this Bhagavatam? It is a mature fruit of Vedic literature. It's a mature fruit of Vedic literature. You will not find this fruit in the Vedic literature. Like a mature fruit is not found in the tree. In the same way, though it is the essence of Vedic literature, but not found in the Vedic literature. Then where it is found? Shukamukhad. It is there in the mouth of the parrot. Like fully matured fruit is like to be eaten by the parrot. So this fruit is there in the mouth of the parrot. Shukamukhad. Amrita drava samyutam. And it is full of juice. There is no seed, there is no peel, there is nothing to waste, to be wasted. It is only the fruit which is having only juice. In this material world, you will not find any fruit like this. There should be a cover, peel, there should be seeds. But this fruit has no seed, no peel, nothing to waste. Only juice. And now it is there in the mouth of Shukha. Shukha means Shukdev Goswami, parrot. Parrot of Radharani. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. So who is drinking this Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam is the book dealing with the relationship of the Jiva with Krishna, eternal relationship. To drink this Rasamalayam, Rasamalayam, it is, Alayam means it is abode of juice, abode of all the rasas. Rasa is a transcendental relationship with Krishna. It's abode of rasa. Muhuraho. Muhuraho refers to again and again or always. Rasikaha bhuvi bhavukaha. Bhavuka, that means expert and thoughtful people, they always want to drink this. Rasikaha. They are completely full of melos. They just want to drink this juice. It is available in the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami. From the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami, this juice is drunk by thoughtful and expert people. Bhavkaha. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukhamukhat amritadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasikaha bhuvi bhavkaha. Again and again, they want to drink this wonderful nectar. Okay. So this is again describing about Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, which is Vastavam Atravastuhu Shivadam. Such Bhagavatam which is given by Mahamuni. Now it is available in the mouth of Shukadev Goswami, which is drunk by thoughtful and expert people. Persons. Okay. Suradeksha Prabhu, read the verse. Then Vandana Mataji read translation. Yeah.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the two previous slokas,
you have to read the verse. You have to read the verse.
I have to read the verse. Sorry. Nigama kalpatarur galitam phalam shukamukhad amritadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha.
Okay, now translation, Vandana Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Mataji. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literature. It emanates from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although it is nectarian, juice is always relishable for all, including liberated soul. Should I continue, Mataji? Should I read purport?
Yeah, read. 3 paragraph you read.
Okay, Mataji. In the two previous slokas, it has been definitely proved that Srimad Bhagavatam is a sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this shloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is a cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things knowable by man. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Vedas contain regulative principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economical, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. Above and beyond all these specific directions for the spiritual realization, regulative knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to the spiritual platform. And the highest spiritual realization is the knowledge that the personality of Godhead is reservoir of all spiritual taste or rasas. Every living entity, beginning from Brahma, the firstborn living being within the material world, down to the insignificant ant, desire to relish some part of the taste derived from sense perception. These sensual pleasures are technically called rasas. Such rasas are of different varieties. It is revealed in scriptures. The following 12 varieties of rasas are enumerated: Raudra, anger; Adbhut, wonder; Shringar, conjugal; Hasya, comedy; Vira, chivalry; Daya, mercy; Dasya, servitorship; Sakhya, fraternity; Bhayanak, horror; Vibhat, shock; Shanta, neutrality; and last 12th is Vatsalya, parenthood.
Okay. So these are the 12 varieties of rasa. Raudra, Adbhutaha, Shringara, Hasya, Veera, Daya, Dasya, Sakhya, Bhayanak, Vibhatsa, and Shantaras, Vatsalyas. We are aware of 5 plus 7. So there are 12 rasas. Okay, Kamalakshi Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Primarily, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. And when these 5 are absent, love is present indirectly in anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and so on. For example, when a man is in love with a woman, the rasa is called conjugal love. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. Sometimes love affairs between two persons culminate in costly and murder scenes. Such rasas are displayed between man and between animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange or rasa between a man and an animal, or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world. The rasas are exchanged between members of the same species. But as far as the spirit souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual exchange of rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. The existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore
Wait. Therefore, the rasas were originally exchanged between spiritual living being and the Supreme Whole. That means every living entity has a spiritual rasa with Krishna. But because of the conditioning, the Sharajivas, they forget their identification. Sharajivas. We have studied in Bhagavad Gita. Who are the Sharajivas? Those who are conditioned in this material world. They forget all these rasas. These 12 rasas, which is there, the 7 rasas, they are, that you can say, secondary to the primary rasas. Even in Dasya, there is a Hasya, isn't it? Even in Vatsalya, there is a Hasya included. Sometimes Krodha is there. And so all these secondary rasas, they are the part of the primary rasas. But these rasas are forgotten by conditioned soul. Every living entity has a rasa with Krishna. But conditioning doesn't allow us to remember our rasa tattva. Okay, Vaishnava Prabhu, read from you.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Shruti mantras, Vedic hymns, as the fountainhead of all rasas. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. These Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with the particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition only, this primary rasa is experienced in full. In the material existence, the rasa is experienced in the perverted form, which is temporary. And thus the rasas of the material world are exhibited in the material form of Raudra, anger, and so on. Therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are the basic principles of activities, can understand the false representation of the original rasas, which are reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme. Thus, less intelligent transcendentalists cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit soul without knowing of the different rasas. Further, in this shloka, it is definitely stated that spiritual rasa, which is relished even in the liberated stage, can be experienced in the literature of the Srimad Bhagavatam due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. By submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. But one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narad Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Sri Vyasadeva. The later in turn delivered the message to his son Sri Sukdev Goswami. And Sri Sukdev Goswami delivered the message to Maharaj Parikshit just 7 days before the king's death. Sri Sukdev Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother. And he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified, neither in the mundane nor in the spiritual sense. But Sri Sukdev Goswami, due to his being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo an evolutionary process for spiritual realization. Yet, despite his being a completely liberated person, situated in the transcendental position above the three material modes, he was attracted to this transcendental rasa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by liberated souls who sing Vedic hymns. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. He is of the necessity not impersonal, because it is only possible to carry on transcendental ras with a person. In Srimad.
Yeah. So so here is said the Supreme Lord's pastimes are very, very attractive to even the liberated souls than to mundane people. He is of necessity not impersonal, because it is only possible to carry on transcendental rasa with a person. So he's not impersonal. Rasas can be carried on only with person who has a form. Okay, Usha Mataji, read from here.
Hare Krishna Mataji. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appearing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Lord. In Sanskrit, the parrot is also known as suka. When a ripened fruit is cut by the red beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who is compared to the parrot not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men. The subject matter is so presented through the lips.
So Shuka, parrot, one who speaks whatever has been heard, whatever has been told to him. You see, the parrot will speak exactly what you say. The same way, not only he speaks whatever has been heard, but he speaks in a very wonderful way, which is appealing to everyone. Okay, further read.
The subject matter is so presented through the lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami that any sincere listener that hears submissively can at once relish transcendental tastes which are distinct from the perverted tastes of the material world. The ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest planet of Krishna Loka. Rather, it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession without change or disturbance. Foolish people who are not in the transcendental disciplic succession commit great blunders by trying to understand the highest transcendental rasa known as the rasa dance without following in the footsteps of Sukadeva Goswami, who presents this truth very carefully by stages of transcendental realization. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagavatam by considering personalities like Sukadeva Goswami, who deals with the subject so carefully. This process of disciplic succession of the Bhagavatam school suggests that in the future also Srimad Bhagavatam has to be understood from a person who is factually a representative of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. A professional man who makes a business out of reciting the Bhagavatam illegally is certainly not a representative of Sukadeva Goswami. Such a man's business is only to earn his livelihood. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. Such men usually go to the most confidential part of the literature without undergoing the gradual process of understanding this grave subject. They usually plunge into the subject matter of the rasa dance, which is misunderstood by the foolishness of men. Some of them take this to be immoral, while others try to cover it up by their own stupid interpretations. They have no desire to follow in the footsteps of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Should I continue?
Okay, only one paragraph, na read. Okay, Anupama, read concluding paragraph.
One should conclude, therefore, that the serious student of Rasa should receive the message of Bhagavatam in the chain of disciplic succession from Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who describes the Bhagavatam from its very beginning and not whimsically to satisfy the mundane who has very little knowledge in the transcendental science. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that a sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking the nectarian juice through the mouth of Sukadeva Swami or his bona fide representative. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So this is a ripened fruit. Kalitam phalam. Ripened fruits are not there on the tree. They fall from the tree. So the tree of Srimad Bhagavatam is Vedic literature. You will not find this rasas in the Vedic literature. That is why in the first verse, if you see, Tene Brahma Hrudaya Adi Kavaye Bhuyanti Yat Surayah. These rasas are hidden even to the greatest demigod, greatest of all demigod, that is Brahma. Though the knowledge is given about creation, maintenance, destruction, everything, but this rasatattva, this rasamalayam, cannot be understood just by reading Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam has such confidential subject matters, and especially the rasa which gopis have with Krishna, which Brajavasis have with Krishna, that is hidden even from the greatest of the greatest, that is greatest Brahma. The Brahma is the greatest of all the demigods. Okay, any questions you can ask. Stop here. Bhagavatam will go in a so slow pace. We cannot go very fast like Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Vasandhani.
In one kanda, it is mentioned Upasana kanda. What is that?
Upasana means worshipping demigods. Upasakas are those who are worshippers of demigods. You cannot call them bhaktas. So
Okay, that is the difference between them.
You have 4 sections in the Vedas: Brahmanakas, Aranyakas, Samhitas, then Upanishad. The Samhitas, studying Samhitas come in Upasana Kanda.
Thank you.
Mataji, in Karma Kanda also the worship of demigod is there in Veda.
Karma Kand has all these. Jnana Kand, Upasana Kand, they all come in Karma Kand only.
Oh.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, this it is mentioned that Srimad Bhagavatam is a ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. So how do we understand, vis-a-vis Vedic knowledge, how it is ripened? Like what? How you will explain
Because Bhakti, Vedanta, where the logics of Veda end, Bhakti begins. That is why it's ripened. Bhakti to Krishna, where sense gratification is not entertained. Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and all these things entertain sense gratification. So that's why it is a ripened fruit, matured, perfection of karma, perfection of jnana, perfection of yoga is remembering Krishna. So that's why it's a ripened fruit.
Thank you,
Dandavathunam.
Yes, Mataji.
This takes 2. It says the service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. So what with us then? We are in
Das.
Dasya.
We are servants now.
Yes.
That is our identification. Immediately we should not think we are gopis or we are gopas. We are servants. Dasyas.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I ask? Mataji, I have 3 questions. One is, in these 12 rasas, Shringar rasa is mentioned as conjugal love. Now, is it same as Madhuri rasa? Because Madhuri rasa is also conjugal love. Oh. Then, Mataji, second question is, it is also written that highest rasa is rasa dance. Can we take that as the 13th rasa? Because it is not mentioned in 12 rasas.
Which rasa?
Rasa dance.
It is there, no? Madhurya rasa.
Madhurya rasa is same as rasa dance.
In that only rasa dance comes, no?
Okay. So Shringar, Madhurya and rasa are same. Mataji, one more thing. It is written here that such rasas are displayed between man and between animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange of rasa between a man and an animal or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world. Now, Mataji, these days we see a lot of people having
loving
dogs.
Cat, dog.
Yeah, dogs and cats. So that
There is
love
no
is
rasa
totally
exchange.
different. There's no rasa.
There is no rasa.
So, but then what do we call that love between
is
man
lust.
and animal? Sorry?
Lust.
Lust. Okay.
Degraded lust. The
Degraded
most
lust.
degraded, stupid lust. Listen.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mataji. When this knowledge is factually understood, one sees the conception of monism and dualism to be imperfect. What does it mean? Monism and dualism?
Monism. Becoming one with Lord. Becoming one with Lord. Monism. Considering only one thing. There is impersonal. Everything is impersonal. Monism. Dualism. Oh, I am different. Lord is different. How can I be different from Lord? I belong to Lord. We are not into monism also, we are not into dualism also. So dualism refers to, okay, he is different, I am different. No, I am different, he is different. Achinta Bheda, but Abheda is also there. It's not Achinta Bheda only. It is Abheda also.
Okay, and from Srimad Bhagavatam, one can come to know the substance as well as the categories. Substance is Krishna. And
categories are avatars, amshas, kala. Yate kala pumsaha krishnastu bhagavan sayam. Kala means his art. What is his art? Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are his art. Kala avataras, amsha avataras. Kala is creation. For creation, maintenance, destruction. So kala, na? Kala means what? Art. Art of creation, art of maintenance, art of destruction. Krishna expands as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Anything else? Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Pasindhubhyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Our Naina Manjari has to say something. Okay. She must be returning from temple now. Hare Krishna. So stop here.